and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Friday, March 25th, 2022. Dr. Campos?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today. We have President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Corzan. Madam President, you do have a quorum at this time. Currently, we do not have any callers under general public comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We do have one caller on the line for item number 3. In addition to that, we did receive some commentary through our Google comment online form for item number 2 and 3 that was distributed to all commissioners this morning. In addition to that, we did receive 2 emails, separate emails, one on item number 2 and the second on item number 3 from the Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council. Those emails have been distributed to all commissioners as well and will be entered into the record. Again, President Garcia, we have one caller for item number 3 on the line.
Okay, we'll take it then. Public comments officially closed at this time. And now that leads us to the first item of today's business, which is approving the minutes for Friday, March 11, 2022. Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward?
So move.
Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Second.
Second. There's a first by me and a second to approve the minutes of March 11th.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
The minutes are approved and adopted. Madam President, would you like to move this forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Now this leads us to item number 1. This is an item for Bureau of Engineering. And who do we have here? I see Mr. Jimenez. Lucky Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez, good to see you. This is an item in Council District 11. This is a memorandum of understanding for the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Perimeter Road Improvements Project, recommending the board to 1, approve the execution of the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, between the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Engineering, and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power to give the Bureau of Engineering permission to use certain areas of the LADWPs, that's Department of Water and Power, transmission line right-of-way number 22 for the purpose of providing egress to the contractor performing work on the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Perimeter Road Improvements, and 2, delegate signature authority to the city engineer to execute the MOU between the Department of Water and Power, Bureau of Engineering, and the Los Angeles delegate signature authority to the city engineer to execute the MOU between the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Engineering, and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Mr. Jimenez? Good morning.
Udi Jimenez, Chief Real Estate Officer for the Bureau of Engineering. This is a pretty straightforward agreement between Bureau of Engineering and DWP to allow Bureau of Engineering to use the DWP roadway. It's a maintenance road that we will need to access it to repair a perimeter road that is around the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. This has been reviewed by DWP and its right-of-way staff. There's further reviews that need to take place, but we believe that DWP has no objections to it, but it's going through the process. And for us, as soon as the anticipated start of the construction is April 11th, so we expect to have the agreement approved by DWP, but we need the authority to enter into that MOU with DWP. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jimenez, for your presentation. I will go with my colleagues to ask any questions. Colleagues, we'll start with Commissioner Corzan. Any questions for Mr. Jimenez?
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Yes, great. Commissioner Davis, any questions on this item?
No questions for me either. Thank you.
And Vice President Villegas, any questions?
Thank you for your report, Mr. Jimenez. I don't have any questions either, just needed work, for Hyperion.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Jimenez, I do have a point of question and then maybe a point of where Ted and Dr. Campos can help me on this. Delegating the signature authority to the city engineer. I'm not completely comfortable with doing that, Commissioner, so if it's okay with you and Ted, if you can guide me on how do we strike that, or how do we amend that? Because I'm not comfortable delegating that authority yet, unless there's a specific reason, Mr. Jimenez, that you have that this is being asked from us.
So, according to the project delivery manual that the Bureau of Engineering has, this is a typical MOU, and sometimes these agreements are between bureaus or department to department, and that is part of the Chapter 3 of the project delivery manual, and this procedure has been established over time, where the Board of Public Works would authorize the city engineer to enter in these types of memorandums of understanding. Basically, it's a handshake between different departments, but it's part of the project delivery manual. So it's an established procedure.
But yeah, it doesn't supersede the board's authority to have oversight for all activities there in the Department of Public Works, though, does it?
No, it actually includes that the approval of the Board of Public Works is required for that.
Okay, so then therefore, Commissioner, your requirement that we keep it as it is certainly in line with what
agree.
Should be done.
Right, thank you, Dr. Davis. Ted, I want to amend this number 2 in order to move it forward for it to come back to the board for signature authority. So maybe I just need to reword that, right?
And if I may, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, and Ted, if you want to jump in, if you want, item number 2, instead of delegating the signature authority to the city engineer, we can strike that reference on recommendation number 2 and then replace it with authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the MOU. So
yes.
again, striking out or replacing delegate signature authority to the city engineer with authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute.
Exactly.
So, these MOUs, they're not legally binding contracts. They're written in very formal ways, but it's between 2 city departments. So,
I agree.
But I want to get you where you want to be. So, if you'd like, you could just simply, as Dr. Campos suggested, you could also, strike the word delegate, include the word authorize. So authorize city engineer to sign it, but then include an additional thing where you're authorizing the president or 2 commissioners to sign it as well.
I do.
So that way, the signature page would have the city engineer, Gary Lee Moore,
yes.
pursuant to the authority that the board would be giving today for the city engineer to sign it, and then also have as sort of an additional signature the Board of Public Works, acting to president or 2 commissioners.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jimenez, I'm gonna amend it. If I had talked to, I think, Ms. Parra about this, and I had already kind of expressed that this was not something I was okay with anyway. So I'm going to amend this unless there's any objections from my colleagues, but it doesn't sound that way. And then we can move it forward. At least I'll put the motion to move it forward if this is okay with you, Mr. Jimenez.
That's fine. I have no.
Okay. Got it. I just don't want to give any delegation right now because there's expectations from us, and that includes the board also. And so I just want to make sure that we as commissioners know what we're expected also from the department. So thank you, Mr. Jimenez, for being flexible on that. So as amended and I hope I'm going to say it right, number 2, amending it to authorize the president of the board or 2 commissioners of the board for signature authority to the city and the city engineer to execute the MOU between the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Engineering, and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Did I say that right, Dr. Campos?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Commissioner,
I'm learning.
Yes,
sir.
It would be my preference but up to you, for you to strike out the language that says, after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney.
Okay,
Again, that's a formality that applies to contracts. And as I indicated, agreements between two city departments legally are not contracts because the city can't contract with itself.
okay,
I'm happy to sign it. I have no problem with it. My recommendation is that we move forward. It probably has been signed by the city attorney from over at DWP because that's how they do things. So, but technically, it's just really not necessary because it's. I don't. Approval as to form is a matter for contracts, not
Got it.
things that aren't contracts.
okay, so good. Mr. Jimenez, you took out one signature, but we added another one, so it kind of evens out just at the end of the day. All right, so do the amendment now for number 2 is authorize the president of the Board of Public Works or 2 commissioners to sign the authority along with the city engineer to execute the MOU between Department of Public Works, Bureau of Engineering, and the Department of Water and Power, and period after that. Okay, so as is amended, as I stated, is there a second to my motion to move this item forward?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Dr. Campos, I hope I kind of circled it in okay.
Yes, Madam President, we can go ahead and start the voting tabulation if your board does not have any further discussions.
Any objections, any questions, any concerns, colleagues? Hearing none, Dr. Campos.
Great. Let's go ahead and start the voting tabulation. This is to approve item number 1 as amended. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam President, would you like to move this forward forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Perfect. Great. Moves us along to item number 2. This is a tree removal. Dr. Campos, am I not mistaken that there has been a request to continue this item for 2 weeks?
That is correct, Madam. That is correct, Madam President. There's been a request by the Council Office as well as the CFAC, our Community Forest Advisory Committee, to continue this item, and the recommendation is to continue the item, if there's no objections by your board, to Friday, April 8, 2022.
Got it. Thank you. I don't have any objections. Colleagues, any objections?
None for me.
Doesn't sound like it. No objections, Dr. Campos?
Thank you, Madam President. We will note that for the record, and we'll continue item number 2 to Friday, April 8th, 2022.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Campos. All right, colleagues, now this moves us along to item number 3. I'll read the item into the record, and then we can take the caller right after that, Dr. Campos.
Yes.
This is item number 3. This is in Council District 10. This is a tree removal for 1010 South Kenmore Avenue and West Olympic Boulevard, recommending the board to 1, find that the project as whole is categorically exempt pursuant to Section 15332, Class 3.2 of the State Environmental Quality Act guidelines, and there is no substantial evidence the proposed project will have significant effect on the environment and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. 2, find that none of the exceptions to the use of the categorical exception as set forth in Section 15300.2 of State CEQA guidelines apply. And 3, specify that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division located at 1149 South Broadway is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. 4, review and approve the request for a fee permit for the removal of 4 trees, which include 2 pink trumpet and 2 teepoo trees. 3 replacements are required. And 5, concur with Bureau of Street Services determination that the site cannot feasibly accommodate all of the required replacement trees, and pursuant to LAMC 62.177C, authorize a tree replacement guarantee fee to satisfy the board's tree planting requirement. So we have one caller on the line, and we can take that caller now.
Yeah, Madam President, thank you, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Again, we do have one caller on the line. However, we do have 4 additional hands that were raised once you called the item, so we'll have 5 callers in total for this item number 3. We'll
Okay.
go ahead and start the commentary with the first caller that raised their hand. Initially, Milan Garrison, if you can please unmute your microphone at this time. The board is considering item number 3. You will have 2 minutes to speak under this item. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. It's Milan Garrison. I am the representative for the developer and the owner of the property. We, at the last hearing, being a good neighbor and a responsible developer, we actually agreed with the continuance to allow us an opportunity to reach out and speak with CD10 as well as the neighborhood council for the adjoining neighborhood council, not the Pico Union, but the Wilshire Koreatown neighborhood council. We did reach out to them. They did not respond to us. However, we did speak with CD10. Their planning director, Hakeem, I think his last name is Park Davis. And he actually had no objections to our request and indicated that he may be listening in on the meeting today. We would ask that you kindly move forward with it. Those groups are advisory, and we've taken we've done as much as we can in terms of trying to quell the disturbances that they had with us. And at this point, we'd like to move forward with our project. Thank you.
Mr. Garrison. And Mr. Garrison, if you can just stay on the line, just in case the board has any questions for you as the developer, we would appreciate that. Madam President, we'll go ahead and move forward with the next caller on the line, Aurora Corona from the Neighborhood Council of Pico Union. If you can please unmute your microphone at this time, you'll have 2 minutes to speak under this item. Please go ahead.
Good morning, commissioners and board. I would ask that I be given more time since Pico Union did send in a letter to the commissioners back on February 25th. Unfortunately, we were not able to attend on the following when it was postponed till the 11th. So I would ask that I be given a little bit more time.
Yes, please go ahead into the Neighborhood Council comment section.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say that I did attend the Greater Wilshire Koreatown meeting last night, and I believe Mr. Banuelos was there, and I do believe Elizabeth from the Neighborhood Council did try to contact the developer. So I don't know where the miscommunication was, but they did try to reach out to Garrison, Mr. Garrison, and as well to CD10, and they did not get a reply. I believe Mr. Renault said that he communicated with CD10, their representative. So there is some kind of communication between them, but not within the two councils. So again, both of our council is the one that's basically within the boundary of the property. And we did have a discussion on March 10th with the developer and the architects. And our neighborhood council asked for several things to, in this meeting. And one of the things we asked for was additional low-income units based on the fact that they, had not notified us at all, and that the trees are being removed, not at a 2-for-1. So that was denied. They said that they could not do that. We asked if possibly they could talk to the owner and change the composition of the low-income units. I believe they had a composition of 6 2-bedrooms, 4 studios, and 2. I may be mistaken. I don't have my notes with me right now, but 2 bedrooms. We asked if they could give more of the 2 bedrooms, less of the studios, and 1 more of a 3-bedroom. Again, they said, no, we cannot do that because it's already been approved through the Housing Authority. So in the end, we asked also that they not use Section 8. That was one of the other neighborhood councils. So we spent about 45 minutes talking with them about what other options they could do to to give back to the community and be good neighbors because we had no voice till I believe the meeting that we had with the commission. So anyways, I believe you do know the error was made by LA City Planning, and then of course, you Urban Forestry finally connected this case to this development. So what we, based on what we discussed at that meeting, we were denied all these options, so we just agreed, but we hadn't made the final decision that we would talk to the developer and the architect to make Pico Union greener. And the discussion was that they would agree to plant more trees in our neighborhood, either at a park or at maybe at a community garden, vacant lots. But we did not discuss the finalization of that versus the maintenance involved, who would be taking care of these trees, how many trees in addition, because they did agree to plant more than the 2-for-1 ratio. And we did not discuss how many trees. And like I said, again, the maintenance and everything involved, could they take care of them for X amount of time? That was not discussed. So anyways, last night at the meeting, I believe you have a letter that the Wilshire Neighborhood Council sent to you asking about that. One of those things is that they guarantee that Pico Union, that there's maintenance for 5 years if we do plant the trees, again, and we don't have the count yet of how many trees the owner's willing to provide in our neighborhood. And there was an issue with the vault, the transformer on Olympic, and it's not directly in front of the vault, and that's what we were talking to Hector about. It's not directly in front, it's to the side. And the question was, why does LADWP want to remove the tree if it's not directly in front of their transformer? So the request was also that maybe LADWP come in and explain the reason why they have to remove the tree when it's not directly in front of the electrical transformer. So these are some of the things that you'll find in the letter. And again, we're asking for a postponement till we can get LADWP to answer the question, why is the tree on Olympic being removed when it's not blocking the transformer? So that is all, and I hope that you will give us time to do that, to check with LADWP about why that tree. We're trying to save at least two trees. I know that Mr. Guerin said that, I don't recall the number of the tree, but the silk moss on the Kenmore side is being protected, and so at this point there are 3 trees that are going to be removed. We're trying to save an additional tree for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aurora. And we will note your letter in the journal as well. Madam President, we'll move on to the third caller on the line, TJSPAUR. Oh, that person just lowered their hand. We'll go ahead. They raised their hand again.
Hi there, sorry about that.
Hi, no worries. If you can just go ahead and state your name for the record, if it's okay with you, and then you'll have 2 minutes to speak under item number 3. Please go ahead.
Yes, hello, good morning. My name is TJ Spar, and I am the treasurer for the Pico Union Neighborhood Council. As my colleague Aurora stated, we are looking for a way to keep the trees in our community, and we would appreciate any help from the board to facilitate the deal that we work out with the developer, Mr. Garrison, to ensure that the maximum number of trees allowed, so if it's 3 trees being cut down, that 6 that will be replaced inside the community, and we understand that there are certain requirements for watering, so the location will, again, something that hopefully the board can recommend, and that's all I really have to say, is that we're just trying to keep our community as green as possible. We appreciate Mr. Garrison's offers, and we just need some help to ensure that the trees stay in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, TJ. We'll move on to the next caller from the Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council. No name is listed. If you can just unmute your microphone. There you go. Thank you.
Hi, yes, I'm actually signed on my computer as well. Is there any way you can allow me to unmute on the, you should see it.
Let the president log in? Perfect, I'll do that now. All right, let's test this out and see if that works. If you can unmute your microphone under the WCKNC president.
Okay.
Marina?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Did your neighborhood council take an official action on this as well, like the Pico Union?
Yes, we submitted through, we submitted a request to postpone directly to Mr. Campos and Mr. Benuelos.
Great, thank you.
And we also submitted an official action through the Google Docs, so we should be able to get the 5 minutes.
Perfect. That's why I was asking. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to begin by stating we did not receive anything from, any contact from the developer, and all of our emails are publicly available on our website. I also reached out to Mr. Benuelos and asked for a contact to the developer, to which I didn't receive any response until much later, but there was still no contact for the developer. Pico Union did provide us the contact, and we sent the developer the information about our meeting last night, but no one showed up. None of my colleagues at the Neighborhood Council received any emails either, and I also have a publicly available phone number for the Neighborhood Council. So I'm not really sure who they emailed or contacted. The Neighborhood Council email has been the same for the 12 years that I've been involved, the 10 years that I've been involved, and nothing was received by any of my colleagues or myself. But we do oppose the tree removal proposal as it stands at 1010 Kenmore, and we ask that the vote be postponed. Again, we had reached out to the developer and the architect. We only had the architect's email, and we got no response. We believe that it would be unethical for the Board of Public Works to vote on this item today. Firstly, because in accordance with the Brown Act, all public comments transmitted should be available and part of the record in the on-site tree removal notification, as well as the emails for the tree removal notification system. Hector Benuelos is noted as the contact for all public comment on the tree removal. Therefore, all of those emails should be publicly available and available to the board, and be able to be tallied by the board to see if there's community support for the tree removals or if the community is in opposition. So we believe that would be a Brown Act violation if the vote did continue today. Also, we are asking for an explanation from LADWP regarding what options were considered when moving the streetlight on Olympic. You have one tree on Olympic that's being impacted not by the project actually, but by a streetlight needing to be moved because the developer chose to put a driveway where a streetlight is. It appears the developer did not contact Water and Power sufficiently in advance to figure out about that tree being moved, and so that's a concern. We also want to know why the staff cannot utilize other methods to place and service the building's transformer, such as why they would not be able to manipulate a crane around the small tree number 3, also on Olympic, which again is not directly in front of the transformer. There have been permits pulled to use one of the to close parking in Olympic, so that the developer could use a crane on Olympic for the building. They were able to manipulate cranes around that small tree. So I'm a little confused as to why Water and Power needs to cut down a whole tree for staging of for the transformer, and it seems that they stated that it wasn't actually even putting in the transformer, but that it's future staging. And Mr. Benuelos also confirmed that the biggest concern is that as the tree grows, that they can't do it, but it seems that they can then trim it. The idea that we would lose a tree for the possibility that at some point in the future there may need to be service to this, and that maybe at some point in the future Water and Power won't be able to trim the tree sufficiently to do that service, seems like a speculation not worth losing a priceless tree along Olympic. Besides this request, we are in opposition to tree removals. One of the tree removals on Kenmore, We believe, well, actually both. We believe that there's sufficient evidence to support that the developer purposely waited until the project was so far along that the board and Urban Forestry had no choice but to approve the tree removals. The developer actually stated this to you guys and to Hector when they said that no, at this point they can't move the driveway, but they actually stated also to Pico Union that that they believe that requesting tree removals was a formality and that it wasn't something that would not be approved. So they went along with their plans without bothering to put in to consider the trees, assuming that you guys would just pull them out, which is extremely disrespectful to this board. Also, I'd like to note that nowhere in the original plans that were presented to the to the Pico Union Neighborhood Council, nor to CD10 was there any note of tree removals in the original plans. So the developer stating that we should have been talking about this years ago is illogical, in that they didn't actually talk about the street tree removals then, and that's what we oftentimes get when developers come. And in the sequel review, there was absolutely nothing about the trees, and that is what CD10 stated. I have it in an email. I'd love to make it public record. They stated that their support of this is based on that sequel review, which includes absolutely nothing about the trees. We do ask that if this does move forward, that we have at least 2 trees planted on Olympic Boulevard of 36-inch or greater box size, and the developer provide maintenance for these trees, including proper soil and irrigation, mulch, and fertilizer. In addition, any trees donated should be donated directly to KYCC or another contracted agency in the area, and that the developer provide those agencies or organizations with funds to properly maintain, i.e. water, fertilize, mulch, and prune all donated and in lieu trees for no less than 5 years. Again, we are really asking some important questions here. We are wondering, we're asking the commissioners to not allow these developers to take advantage of their board, their positions, as well as the community. Is there really no other financial choice but to destroy these trees that have served the community and the earth for decades? Or can we show developers like this that they need to be held responsible for their lack of planning and clear disregard for the commissioners, the board, and the surrounding community? We, the residents of Koreatown and Pio Pico, at least deserve to hear from a certified herborist regarding the second tree that is actually not in the way of the driveway. And we would like to have also put this off until we can get an arborist report stating that that second tree that is not going to be in the way of the driveway would not be able to be viable after building the driveway. But again, we ask that the driveway should be moved and that this should not be a simple decision taken in light by the commissioners or by the developer, and that they are really taking advantage of an underserved community where we don't have access to the money to get lawyers, and they would not try to pull this in other communities. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the last caller at this time. Caller ending in 890, caller ending in 890. If you can please unmute your microphone by pressing *6. Please state your name. You'll have 2 minutes to speak under item number 3. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Fernando. Good morning, commissioners. Diana Nicole. I'm with the NCSA Trees Committee. We support the request for a continuance, and I just want to, say that this Board of Public Works, you all have a long history. I've been before this Board of Public Works for some years now. You have a long history of continuing these tree removal permits when the community comes before you and makes that request. And I think you're correct in doing that. One of the reasons you most likely do that is because what we found is when we do these continuances, very often we end up with a much better outcome when the public is participating. And so I know that these continuances are beneficial for everyone when you all do that, and so I hope that you'll continue that history. I haven't had a lot of time with this, but I am a certified horticulturalist and a landscaper, and it's important to understand that the current plan is removing older trees with large canopies, and they're replacing them with smaller trees with smaller canopies. There's an impact for that, and I think there's some opportunity there to fix that situation. Even if trees, it turns out, have to come down, you don't want to downsize the urban forest there. And I would just add that it's sorry, I lost my train of thought on that, but I would be available to anyone who's with the neighborhood council to help advise on those tree removals. But just to add, we are talking about a lot of issues with drought, and every time you plant new trees, that does take a lot of water. So there's also a benefit to keeping mature trees from a water savings perspective. Again, I urge the board to grant the request from the community to continue this so that your questions can be answered and we can come back to the board with a better plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. That clears the queue for public comments on item number 3. We still have the developer on the line, should your board have any questions.
Great, thank you. Yes, thank you to all the callers as well. I appreciate the the concern you have in the area, in your community. So thank you for calling in. And Mr. Garrison, the developer, please stay on the line because we're going to go into questions from commissioners. So I want to make sure that you're available too. Thank you. All right, commissioners, any questions? Oh, well, I'm sorry, Hector hasn't presented. Hector, please go ahead.
Yes, hi. Good morning, President Garcia. Commissioners, my name is Hector Banuelos. I'm with Urban Forestry Division. And what we have before us is a request for a fee permit to remove 4 street trees relevant to a new construction of a mixed-use commercial residential building. We're approximately 126 residential dwelling units with commercial floor space. There's also, I want to make mention that within the letter of recommendation, it also makes mention of the 13 of those units are set aside for extremely low income households. The developer, well, first and foremost, the Urban Forest Division, we're always seeking alternatives, always looking for, see if there's any alternative to keep trees in place. And we heavily scrutinize all requests coming for the board. Many people think we don't, but we do. We do have all certified arborists on staff that are inspecting these trees and to ensure that there's minimal impact to trees that are to remain, and also address the impact of these projects present when they come before us, where there's applications. And so with that, we have 3 trees growing on Kenmore Street. We have 1 floss silk tree, and we have 2 tipu trees. Very large trees, about 24-inch diameter, by about 30 feet in height. Those trees are growing under power lines, and they're continually topped by Department of Water and Power in order to maintain clearance of the high voltage lines above. So these trees, 2 trees, tipu trees, are growing within the footprint or directly adjacent to the footprint of the driveway, proposed driveways there. It's a very large driveway. It appears to be ingress-egress to the development. One of the trees is right within the footprint of the driveway, and another tree just immediately south of the first tree is right directly adjacent to the driveway. That tree will not sustain the impact. We are certified arborists here. We know what we're talking about when it comes down to addressing the health and stability of trees, and that first and foremost is the public safety. If those trees were to remain, one of those trees were to remain, of course, that tree would be rendered unstable, and its health would be severely impacted. And therefore, those 2 trees have to be removed in order to allow the developer to install the driveway to provide access of the tenants and of the patrons on the commercial units. We have another driveway being installed on Olympic Boulevard side. There are 2 trees, or actually 1 tree on the property, 1 tree adjacent property to the east. And one of the trees is within the area, according to the plans, within the area where the water and power transformer is going to be installed. According to Water and Power, they need a clear area so they can stage their crane to access and to install the transformer bulb. And we have another tree that's growing directly just on the adjacent property to the east. That tree is going to be impacted by a relocation of a street light, which is within the footprint of the driveway. We scrutinized, we asked if they can move that street light somewhere else. According to street lighting, they cannot move the street light west because there's another existing street light not too far, closer to the corner of Kenmore. And so street lighting is not allowing them to move that street light closer. In addition to that, there's also the vault of proposed transformer vault for Water and Power. So they cannot put the street light in front where the vault's going. So it leaves no other alternative, however, just to move the street light over to the east, where happens to be a tree growing. Well, that tree is ultimately going to be impacted as well. So in all, there's 4 trees to be impacted on this property development, and there's 1 tree, however, going to remain. That's a floss silk. They're growing on the Kenmore side. That tree is growing pretty close to a power pole, however, there's very minimal impact by construction activities, and so that tree is to remain in place. So there is room to plant 5 trees on Kenmore and 1 tree on Olympic. We cannot plant 2 trees on Olympic because all the infrastructure and all the other limitations are of planting more trees. And so unfortunately, there's only room for 1 tree there on Olympic. 1 pink trumpet tree shall be planted on Olympic, and we've designated 5 Australian willows to be planted along the Kenmore side. That appears to be all there's room to plant on that side due to power poles, driveways, curb, and other infrastructure. The applicant is going to water the trees normal 3 to 5 year period to establishment. Now and the remaining 2 trees to make up for the 2 to 1 tree replacement board's policy will be we're asking that the board allow street services to allow the contractor to pay the tree planting guarantee fee for the 2 trees to make up for the 2 to 1. That concludes my report, and I'm here to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Bañuelos, for your report as well. Colleagues, I'll go refer to you first for any questions. We'll start with Commissioner Dr. Davis. Any questions on this item?
Yes. I think that this is an issue that is complex only because of everything involved. I see that the developer tried his best to reach out, and I still see that the community residents involved still have gaps in information and communication that they have testified that have occurred where they did not get some answers to questions that they have. And I think after all, what we have here may not be a problem of any of the 2 parties that have, or the 3 parties, including our own bureau. We, unfortunately, as much as we may not want to deal with this, just had a council person bestowed or restored to our organization by the courts. The courts have just said that it was important for us to have a representative in this office. And while we did talk to some staff members, unfortunately, this action really, literally just took place Wednesday, which did not allow any of those of us who are presenting today to really get the full benefit of, in terms of the leadership of the office, where we really are. And I really hate to continue, but I definitely want to make sure that we do everything that we can do to be responsible as a board. And I would like for us to include the leadership that the court has ordained, if you will, to be involved in this. I think that will have something to do with some of the gaps that we heard about today. And I do know that the developer did do much more work this week, but unfortunately not any fault of his own. We just got a representative. We didn't even have a council member in this office. And it does make a difference. And so I am leaning towards making sure that we do a thorough job. I'd rather look back and know that we did the best we can do than to rush it, knowing that we did not do the best that we could do.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Corson, any questions on this item?
Yes, in a statement, I was reminded to look this up. I was on the Citywide Planning Commission when we took up an iteration of this project before it was converted from a hotel to a mixed-use family dwelling. And the tree topics I do recall did come up. And to Dr. Davis's point, when it comes to situations that involves all of the surrounding neighborhood councils, it seems like deferring to neighborhood councils seems to make sense. But I'm not sure because Dr. Davis, the current council member, is now the former council member who supported this project with the same tree circumstances when it was approved. And the map, I guess, is not the issue because they are adding more trees on site that are presently there, correct, Mr. Banuelos?
Yes, that is correct.
And the two trees that would be in lieu would be, do you know where they would be planted?
They're planted in, well, what we do, it's a part of the tree planting guarantee fee. All funds are collected throughout one fiscal year, where then they're planted the following fiscal year when we have tabulated all the monies. And so the areas are targeted areas based on several criteria. You know, the disadvantaged communities is one, low canopy is another. So communication with some of the council offices is where they desire tree to be planted is another criteria, and a few other criteria that just again remember at the top of my head. But there's several criteria and then that are considered, and the plan is then approved by full council. So in certain areas that were previously targeted, as I don't know the exact area for right now where these trees are targeted for planting, but we are also because of the boundary changes, we're going to be renewing the plan and to align with the current what the council district changes of the boundaries.
So, Mr. Banuelos, my question is the street shading in on this property or within this intersection, is that increasing, staying the same, or decreasing?
When the trees mature, it'll be about say probably improved, right? When these 5 trees mature. But right now, when it's they're young, no, they're not going to be. It's not going to be the same.
And how long would it take for the trees to mature to reach the level that just exceeds what the current shading is?
Probably between 5 to 10 years.
Okay. I mean, I would be perfectly comfortable supporting the recommendation and moving forward, and I would also be perfectly comfortable supporting Dr. Davis's suggestion that we continue and give the current council office an opportunity to work with the stakeholders on a more satisfying resolution.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Commissioner Villegas, Vice President Villegas.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for the public comments. We appreciate those. It's, we are representative of the public, so we appreciate all the comments that have come in today. I appreciate Dr. Banuelos, Mr. Banuelos' board report as well, and I appreciate also the developer being here. I just wanted to clear information that was shared just through public comment. The process in which the tree removals come to this board is the last permit that is authorized for a developer, to start their project. Obviously, this one's, I think, already underway, but it's the last permit that a developer is needed. So that's why those come to this board. As we've identified in meetings in the past, the City of Los Angeles is working collaboratively with our LA planning staff to address the tree removal issue at an earlier phase in the permit process, so that this permit process that comes to us, it's the last authorization that's needed for a developer. So this isn't something that was, jammed. It wasn't like, it's transparent, it's not hidden. And I just wanted to say that for the record, and so that the audience that's listening also knows the process. It's not something that is that was done as an oversight. It wasn't done, with any malice. It's the process in which that is given to any developers that are going to be doing projects within the city of Los Angeles. So having said that, I know that this item has already been continued. Some of the comments that were heard today dealing with housing, if comments to the developer want to be taken up again, I'm sure he's already had his permits for that. This board isn't, we don't take any of that, we don't have authority over that. This is just the tree removals process. And the other thing I just wanted to state, I'm fine also either just taking up this issue today, or as Dr. Davis said as well, I think it was probably the most prudent thing is to either give like a week extension or some type of extension so that the public can just be able to say their piece and at least understand the project further, to the extent that there's any concessions that would be a huge benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Appreciate that clarification for the public on where our authority lies as this board and where it does not. And so I want to address a question to the developer, because if it is my understanding that the last time when we continued this item, I personally had asked if you can make this presentation to the Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council. That was part of the I don't know, I guess you would say the parameters for us to reconsider this item. And based on what I heard from today, that was not done. So is there a reason why that was not done, Mr. Garrison?
We made the attempt, and Mr. Benuelos can speak to this. I sent an email to the Wilshire community, the CD10, and the only person that responded to me was Mr. Benuelos, as well as CD10, their planning director. I've never received a call or an email or any response from the Wilshire Community Neighborhood Council. And then Mr. Benuelos made me aware that there was a meeting last night, but unfortunately I was scheduled to have another meeting, so I was unavailable to attend.
That's a very unfortunate, Mr. Garrison. I imagine there's more folks in your company that could have had that, have gotten that time to make the presentation and meet with the folks last night. I knew that meeting was scheduled even last week or even early this week. And so I was hoping that meeting did take place last night. And I was hoping to hear today the results of that meeting. And so I as much as I wanted to also move this item forward today so that we can move forward with this project is very on its way already, and it has moved forward way. We're very at the last stretch of this project. In other words, I just feel like there wasn't a deliberate or a strong attempt to work with that neighborhood council. The folks that are going to live in this place that you're building will be part of the Pico Union Neighborhood Council, but a lot of them will also feed into the Wilshire Center Korea Neighborhood Council area because of businesses or shopping or entertainment in that area. So I just want to say that, and I also want to consider Dr. Davis's comments on that, this past Wednesday, we just reestablished a council member on that position. And even though Mr. Corson, I understand that he was part of a council member back when this project came into fruition, I think a lot has a lot of time has passed by, and maybe just a refresher to the council member would be something appropriate, Mr. Garrison, for your company to do. So I understand that the planning director or planning field deputy, you met with him and so forth, but I do think that it merits a time for the new council member to, the new and previous council member to see this project one more time to where is that now. It's not many trees we're fighting. I'm not saying that one tree is a lot already, and I'm very sensitive to trees, and I, I always look for ways that we can save trees as well. And I think this whole entire board and our UF, Urban Forest Department as well is why we hired a chief forest officer to come into place to help us find ways to be more sensitive and to be more strategic on how we're going to place trees moving forward, and not just for today, but for years to come, for other folks to enjoy as well. So I just want to say that to everyone that we do care about trees, and one tree is a lot. So as much as, maybe 2 trees doesn't seem to be a lot for, for certain folks, to us it does. So being good stewards of the city, I will ask for a continuance of, if it's okay, and I'm going to look into Dr. Davis and Commissioner Villegas for this, a 1-week extension, so that we can then, so that Mr. Garrison, your company makes, it doesn't have to be necessarily you, but someone from your company, your organization, to meet with the Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council and to solidify whatever else you and the Pico Union have agreed on. It sounds like it's still very nebulous or very foggy, and that's not our role. We don't mandate that. That's really you and the neighborhood councils being good neighbors to one another. But it still sounds like they're not even sure if this is going to happen. And so again, we're not here to advocate for any of that to happen, but we are here to be good neighbors to everyone. And so I just feel that, Mr. Garrison, your company didn't make the effort to meet with Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council as we asked last time we were here. So with all that said, I would like to extend this item for, and I'm going to, again, look into Villegas and Dr. Davis. Are you kids for 1 week or 2 weeks?
What are you saying, Villegas? I do know that Councilman Herb Wesson would agree with you, Madam President, that he would want communication first and foremost with his Wilshire community. That I know for sure. Right.
And this gives a good time for Mr. Garrison's company to also make a relationship with the council office onto where you're about to become part of that neighborhood. So maybe a week is not enough, given that he just came into position and he's just establishing himself again. So maybe another 2-week continuance would be adequate. I see VP Villegas agreeing to that. Okay.
Second.
Got it. Okay. So, Dr. Campos, we're going to continue this item for 2 weeks from today.
Thank you, Madam President. 2 weeks from today would be Friday, April 8th, 2022.
Great. Thank you. So, again, Mr. Garrison, is there any objections to that, colleagues? Hearing none, this item will continue now in 2 weeks from now. And did you state the date already, Dr. Campos?
Said it, I'll state it again just for the record, Friday, April 8th, 2022.
Got it. Thank you. So I hope, Mr. Garrison, that during this time your company makes an attempt and actually sit down with Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council. Doesn't have to be in person. Time now, we can do it through Zoom or any other method, but I really do recommend that does happen, and I hope to hear back from that. Thank you. Okay, colleagues, I think we can move on from item number 3 for now, as it has been extended. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bañuelos, for your time. We will see you again in 2 weeks, possibly sooner.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and all the callers on the line, too, as well, and Mr. Harrison, for your understanding and your time. All right, colleagues. This moves us now to item number 4 on today's agenda. This is wait, I think 4, 5, and 6, I can actually take them together, right, Mr. McReynolds? I see him smiling.
Yes, President
Got it.
Garcia, yes. With your permission, I can read all of them into the record and then take questions at the end.
Okay, vice versa though. I'll read them into the record and then you do the presentation. How's that? Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
I was talking about my report, but yes, go ahead.
Okay, good. I'll read item 4, 5, and 6, colleagues. This is a joint report with Bureau of Engineering and the Bureau of Contract Administration. Council, we'll start with item 4, which is a item in Council District 15, contract acceptance, Tiny Home Village, Harbor Park, Figueroa Place, recommending the board to 1, accept this contract. Item number 5, this is in Council District 6, a contract acceptance with the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, underground high-pressure effluent, low-pressure effluent valves replacement, CIP 6232, recommending the board to 1, accept this contract. And number 6, this is in Council District 1. This is a contract acceptance, Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, Confluence Plaza Interface Redesign, recommending the board to 1, accept this contract. And Mr. McReynolds.
Good morning, President Garcia, commissioners, and colleagues. Brett McReynolds, the Bureau of Contract Administration. We'll start with the Tiny Home Village, Harbor Park in Council District 15. I'm here requesting your acceptance of this project. On January 8th, 2021, the contract was awarded on a competitive basis to Access Pacific Incorporated, who is the contractor on the on-call list that your Bureau board accepted or authorized on July 31st, 2020. The project constructed a lot development that provided for the construction of sleeping cabins, otherwise known as tiny homes. The facility included 75 8x8 cabins, a storage unit, a hygiene facility, laundry, common areas, as well as site areas including landscaping and site security. The contract was awarded for $3,616,580 with an amount including contingency for a total budget amount of $4,159,067. 16 change orders were issued, decreasing the total cost of the contract to $3,614,076, which is 13.10% below its authorized budget. The change orders were due to field quantity measurements and adjustments. The contractor has complied with all other EEO and labor compliance requirements. It is noted that the local business preference and business inclusion program and mandatory subcontractor minimums were waived for all crisis bridge housing projects. Funding was provided through the COVID relief funds, and all work was completed on September 20th, 2021, and subsequent release of retention. There are no disputed funds or unresolved property complaints on the Tiny Home Village project. The next project is item number 5, which is the Donald Tillman Reclamation Plant Underground High Pressure Effluent Valve Replacement in Council District 6. This contract was executed by your board on June 24, 2019 to PPC Construction Incorporated in the amount of $1,680,000 with a contingency for a total authorized budget of $1,848,000. The project provided for the repair and replacement of 30 severely deteriorated inoperable valves for both the high and low pressure effluent system at the Tillman plant. The replacement of these valves was imperative for the safe continued operation of the plant. 12 change orders were issued, increasing the total cost of the project to $1,750,539.28, which is 4.20% above its award amount of 5.27 below its authorized budget. Changes were due to the valve layout to provide better access to the valves and some piping associated with that. Funds were provided from the Wastewater Capital Fund program. All work, including final corrections, was completed March 9th, 2021. Since that time, there have been subsequent incremental releases of retentions as the contractor provided information to our Office of Contract Compliance. Currently, there are no disputed funds or unresolved property complaints or issues, and all retentions have been released. The contractor has complied with all EEO and labor compliance requirements. And the last one that we have is the item number 6, which is Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority Confluence Plaza Interface Redesign CD1. The contract was executed by the board on September 26, 2018 in the amount of $880,000 to ARC Construction Incorporated. The project had an authorized budget with a contingency of $1,012,000. And the project provided for the reconstruction of landscape island or landscape public space in Cypress Park. The work included new pavers, drains, lighting, ADA sidewalk repair, as well as some crash barriers. The work is in an area maintained by the MCRA. That's the Mountains Conservancy Authority, Mountains Recreation and Conservancy Authority. 7 change orders were issued, bringing the total cost of the project to $947,487.44, which is 7.67% above its award amount and 6.37% below its authorized budget. Changes were due largely to the crash barrier and some guardrails that had to be added for public safety. All work, including final corrections, was completed April 2nd, 2020. Since that time, there have been subsequent incremental releases of disputed funds when information was provided to our Office of Contract Compliance. Currently, there are no disputed funds or unresolved property complaints, and all retentions have been released. The contractors comply with all EEO and labor compliance requirements. Funding was provided by the seismic bond funds. The project was associated loosely with the Riverside Bridge project. And that completes my requests, and have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McReynolds, for all your presentations and all 3 items. Commissioner, any questions on that? We'll start with you, Commissioner Corson. Sorry, I didn't mean to see you, Commissioner. I was pointing on my clicker. That's right. You, Commissioner Corson, sorry.
No, thank you.
No questions? Got it. Any questions, VP Villegas?
I too have no questions. Thank you very much for your presentation, Mr. McReynolds.
Got it. And Dr. Davis, any questions? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. No questions for me either. Thank you so much, Reynolds.
Thank you. I don't have any questions either, Mr. McReynolds. This is pretty straightforward. We're just accepting contracts, and I didn't see any issues with the closing of the contracts, right? Got it. All right, colleagues, is there a motion to move this item forward? These 3, item 4, 5, and 6 forward.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Got it. Dr. Campos, we have a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas on items 4, 5, and 6 to move forward forthwith.
Thank you, Madam President. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, Mr. McReynolds. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank
Great. All right, colleagues, this takes us now to item number 7 on today's agenda. This is an item in Council District 4 and 5. This is a contract award to Ramona Inc., Secondary Sewer Renewal Program D, Con O2B. Okay, Mr. I don't know what that is. You're going to have to explain that. Recommending the board to declare Ramona Inc. the apparent second low bidder that became the first low bidder after the local business preference program was applied to be the lowest responsive bidder and award Ramona a contract for the secondary sewer renewal program D-Con O2B E20 project for $1,063,817 and authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Okay, Mr. Arrington, you're here to present on this item?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Hello, Mr. Gutierrez. Good to see you too.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Edward Arrington with the Bureau of Engineering, and joining me is Mark Gutierrez with the Bureau of Contract Administration as well. In regarding this item, as was just read, this is secondary sewer renewal program, decondition O2B project, which essentially is going to be seeking to renew approximately 5,700 feet of structural condition D sewer. And Madam President, with reference to your question, the decon is referencing to that. That is, these are sewers that are deconditioned, which essentially meaning in poor condition. We have a rating of A through E, and these particular sewers have been rated D. For as background information. In regards to the general area for this project is going to be in the Sherman Oaks and Encino area. The project is generally bounded by the Ventura Freeway to the north, the Ventura Canyon Avenue to the east, Mulholland Drive to the south, and the San Diego Freeway to the west. The project, as has been indicated, is in Council District 4 and 5. Both offices were contacted in regards to this project and are in concurrence with work. The scope of this project does also include modifying some sewer structures and some general associated work. We'll also will involve some traffic control, some trenching, some sewer bypass, sewer cleaning. We'll be doing some CCTVing for the work, as well as some general resurfacing and final paving of the streets that will be disturbed. The project has been reviewed for environmental considerations. It was determined to be categorically exempt under the CEQA Act of 1970, as well as the city's CEQA guidelines. The city's estimate has been read is for $1,325,144. We did receive 6 bids, commissioners, for this project, of which the 2 top bidders are Vasil and Ramona. The first low bid was by Vasil for $1,017,817. And the second low bidder was Ramona for $1,063,817. Due to Ramona qualifying under the local business preference program, the order of bids has shifted, and so Ramona becomes the lowest with an adjusted bid amount of $978,711.64, of course, for evaluation purposes only. Furthermore, both of these 2 low bidders were evaluated under the Business Inclusion Program efforts, and the Bureau of Contract Administration has found that both Ramona and Vasil did pass the outreach evaluation for the purpose of this particular program. Also, in regards to subcontracting efforts, the contract does require a 25% minimum, of which contractor Vasil has pledged participation of 25.02%, and Ramona has pledged a participation of 26.08%. In regards to funding, there is no impact to the general fund, and the total funding for this project is not to exceed $1,170,198.07. So, in view of these above findings, and in consideration of the local business preference program, Ramona is to be considered. Is our recommendation to consider Ramona as the lowest responsible bidder and be awarded this contract, of course, subject to verifications of any other bidding requirements. So with that, I will take any questions that the board may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arrington, for that presentation. Colleagues, any questions on this item? I'll start with Commissioner Dr. Davis.
Yes. Could you tell me this is where we've gotten a recommended vendor for this project. What do we anticipate the time being to start this project if it's passed today?
So if it's passed today, Commissioner, we would say that perhaps within about a month we will be issuing the notice to proceed and then move forward with this effort.
Okay. Now, in terms of the opportunities, employment opportunities on this project, did I hear you say that this is an emergency repair for the sewers?
No, sir. This is being bidded in normal channels.
I got you. So, having said that, what opportunities exist in terms of project labor agreements and the like?
Yes, sir. This particular project will have the requirement for a project labor agreement.
Oh, wonderful. And do we have anticipated time period in which we think it will take to complete the project?
Yes, sir. So this particular project is slated to complete it within a year, and we will be making every effort to do that. There are some challenges sometimes as we go through the work, but nevertheless, that'll be our effort.
Okay.
And
all right. Great. Thank you so much for that update. Appreciate it. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. VP Villegas, any questions?
Just a quick question. Is this a new contractor to the city? Has Ramona Inc. done work with the city in the past?
Yes, Commissioner. Contractor Ramona has done multiple projects for the city, and in fact is being awarded several other projects by this board more recently. And to date, we are satisfied with their work.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions. I'm fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. And Commissioner Corson.
Thank you for that. Great presentation. Really excited about the location since I live so close to it. Really excited to have our sewers fixed in the South Valley. Dr. Davis asked some really good questions, and Vice President Vegas asked a question that was also on my mind. But one question is, because I'm familiar with the area and it's on the hillside, there's a lot of cut through in traffic and how we get to the west side when we are in the valley. And I'm just wondering what the traffic mitigations, if any, are. I know they're all spread out in different areas. So what the timing looks like in terms of, is it a one-day job? Is it a two-day job when they do it? Is it a one-week job? Just understanding what that looks like and what the notifications are to the surrounding neighbors when work is being done. Thank you.
Right. Yes, so just in general for this particular project, we are not issuing any peak hour exemptions on this project. So there will be having to adhere to the hour exemptions that have been identified through this ordinance of the city. And basically what that means, Commissioner, is that they'll essentially have to wait till essentially about 9 a.m. before they actually start the work. They have to wrap everything up by 3:30. So the hope is that that will minimize any impact on traffic because, excuse me, as you said, yeah, there are some streets there, just very much intertwined with all the other major streets, and having worked within any of those streets could undoubtedly have some kind of an impact. So, yeah, in this particular project, we are now requiring any exemptions, so the contractor have to adhere to that. But in general, in regards to the work, essentially the contractor identifies a particular type of repair or rehabilitation has to be done, sets up their temporary traffic control plan, and gets to do the work. So essentially what that means is they'll be setting up cones and closing up a particular area, doing, if, say for example, spot repair, they will go ahead and dig out that particular spot, do the work, and if need be, plate it, and then having to come back and complete it the following day. Some other areas, they may have to set up things a little longer because it's more of a continual work, particularly the rehab work, particularly around maintenance holes where they have to essentially set up around that maintenance hole to introduce the rehab material and pull that through the sewer, make sure that gets done properly, and then pack up and removal of that effort. So that may be folks in the community may see that particular work going on for a couple of days at each one of these spots. We did talk to you a little bit about this during the briefing, and so obviously you're aware of these scattered locations as you've indicated, and that's pretty much how it is. So yeah, you'll see this setups happening throughout this community as the contractor is seeking to do a spot repair or do a pull through on a particular sewer at a maintenance hole. But either way, the intent is, or the typical effort is to essentially set up, do the work, get it done within a couple of days, and move on to the next site. So the hope is that any particular community member won't be impacted for very long.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Okay, I think I got all three commissioners on here. Mr. Arrington, was the first bidder notified in today's hearing?
Yes, ma'am. Both bidders were notified. Both top bidders, including Wasil, and Ramona.
Okay, and I take it they understood that they were not going to be declared the, for lack of a better word, the winners of this contract.
Well, yeah, so Basil, who was the first low bidder, but because of local business presence became the second low bidder, yeah, he was notified and he acknowledged that and indicated he actually may attend, but I do not see him here.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure we kind of touched every base on this. I don't have any other more questions on this item. Colleagues, is there a motion to move this item forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Great. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move this item forward forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Arrington and Mr. Gutierrez, for your time. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well,
All right. This takes us now to item 8. This is an administrative item in Council District 11. This is a specification submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids in Council District 11 for the Bayona Creek Water Quality Improvement CIP J598 and Sepulveda Channel Low Flow Treatment Facility CIP J925 with a work order of S33 WLFT1, not I, 1, comma S33 WLFT2. Estimate of $55,233,000. Bid receipt date of May 25th, 2022. And I believe there are no one to present on this item, colleagues. Right, Dr. Campos?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there a motion to move this item forward for bids coming on May 25th?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. I didn't hear her, but I saw her say I second that. All right, so it's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by VP Villegas to move item 8 forthwith.
We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This item is adopted, and I'm sorry, this motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this takes us now to item number 9. This is a stop notice for C Fabrication LLC. C Fabrication LLC is transmitting a stop notice in the amount of $252,718.59 for handrail, guardrail, and gate work for Alcorn Fence Company, an apparent subcontractor in connection with the Taylor Yard Bikeway Pedestrian Bridge over the Los Angeles River project, for which the primary contractor is Ortiz Enterprise, Inc. We also do not have a presenter on this item, right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct.
Okay, colleagues, is there any objections moving this item forward? Nope. Is there a motion on the table to move this item forward?
So moved.
Dr. Davis, I'll second it on this. There's a first by me, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by me, Dr. Campos.
We'll go ahead and start the voting. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Great. Now that leaves us to our oral reports of today, and this is a status update on major upcoming street improvement projects from the Bureau of Street Services. Who is here? Oh, Mr. Maxwell, I thought you were going to rotate you already. Did our pool make it to the management office and say to keep you longer?
For this Friday, yes.
Okay, good. might have to submit some of my comments there to your director and say, hey, we're pushing on Mr. Maxwell with signs. Go ahead, Mr. Maxwell. Good to see you.
Well, good morning, President Garcia, Commissioners, Bureau Reps, and Dr. Campos. This information is being provided to keep the public informed on the upcoming resurfacing projects and to minimize the impact on the community as well as delays to the commuters. Streets LA would like to provide you with an update on all major upcoming street improvement projects. So during the week of March 27th through April 2nd, our Metro and Valley region will complete 14 projects for a total of 12.03 lane miles. The press releases were broadcasted and notifications have been issued. Streets LA has coordinated with the Council District Office to assist with the outreach to stakeholders, and we have coordinated with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation for traffic control assistance. This information is also available on Streets LA website at streetsla.lacity.org. For additional information or concerns, you can contact our coordinating department at area code 213-847-3200, and this concludes my information for the day.
Thank you, Mr. Maxwell. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Maxwell? Hearing none. You're good, Mr. Maxwell. Thank you for your time and your report. Have a good weekend. I'll advocate to see you next Friday, too.
Okay, thank you, and have a good weekend.
You too, Mr. Maxwell. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Maxwell and commissioners for that. Dr. Campos and Ted brought this to my attention. There seems to be a hand up by Ms. Tanja Burleson. Not sure what we want to connect with her.
Absolutely, Madam President. Let me go ahead and open up the audio lines. Tanja Burleson, if you can please unmute your microphone. You have your hands up. The board has cleared the desk. If you can hear me, if you can please press *6 to unmute your microphone, or if you're joining us through the Zoom application, there is a unmute icon. If you can click that, there you go. Can you hear us, Tanja Burleson? Oh. There you go. You unmuted your microphone. Tanja, we can, on our end, your microphone has been unmuted. Are you able to test your audio line for us? Madam President, I do have the call open for Tanja Burleson. I cannot hear anything coming from that audio line.
Okay.
Tanja, if you can hear us, can you lower your hand just to confirm that you can hear us? We cannot hear you. Okay, she did lower her hand, so she can hear us. Tanja, we're unable to hear you, but we know that you are on the line. I am going to try a workaround, if that's okay with you, Madam President. I can go ahead and add this person as a panelist. I don't know who this person is, but I can go ahead and do that, and maybe that would allow the audio line to work. It could be the same similar scenario that a prior commissioner had earlier this morning with Zoom.
Got it. Let's make that final attempt, and if that doesn't come through, then I think she can contact us or contact you. I think she hung up, so she left.
No, she's now she's in our panelist queue. Tanja, you're now part of our panel queue. You should have all features open to you. If you can just go ahead and unmute your microphone and test your audio lines. If you can please unmute your microphone and open up your video cam just to see if your line is working.
Okay.
Madam President, no, it doesn't appear to be working at this time. She is part of our panelist queue. I'm not seeing any movement at this time from Tanja in terms of hands raised or audio lines being muted, unmuted, and video cams.
Okay. Tanja, if you can hear this, if you please contact Fernando after the meeting if you still want to make some kind of a comment. Otherwise, we're gonna adjourn today's meeting because we have completed all of our tasks for today. So thank you for being here, and I hope that you can contact Fernando after this meeting. Dr. Campos after this meeting. Okay. Dr. Campos, let us know if she does contact you after, and if there was something important, something that we all need to hear.
Absolutely, and just for the record for Tanja, my email address is fernando.campos, C-A-M-P-O-S, @lacity.org, and I'll be happy to take your email.
Got it.
And Madam President, you have cleared the desk.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Last time I missed saying that, and I felt like we didn't completely close the gap here, but thank you for saying that. Everything has been cleared. Colleagues, we have officially adjourned today's meeting for Friday, March 25th. We will meet in like 5 minutes, if that's okay. 5 minutes? Got it.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Mm.